Hi, and welcome to my unfinished basement. This is not my first choice when I'm starting chicks. I would much rather start them out in the hen house, but it's still too cold, so here we are in my basement. We just got a call from the post office and we're headed to get the chickies. Hello, babies. This is our setup when we start chicks. We set up a metal trough and we cover the bottom with pine shavings. Brand new chicks need the heat. They have to be around 90 degrees when they're first born for about their first week of their life. You can tell if chicks are too cold or too hot by the way that they are acting. If they're too cold, they'll huddle together under the heat lamp, or if they're too hot, they'll spread apart and they'll move as far away from the heat lamp as they can. So that's how you can judge if it's too hot or too cold. I use my heat lamps. I clip them onto the side or across like a 2x4 across the top of my trough. I clip them with the clip that comes on the heat lamp, but then I'll tie them off, whether I use rope tied to a stud in the basement. This year I found a piece of wire and I used a piece of wire and I've got it wrapped around the 2x4s. But that's how I make sure those heat lamps won't slip and fall off and fall into the pine shavings and cause a fire. This is what I'm using right now to hold the food for the chicks. It has little holes in there. The top will pop up and you can refill it that way. Especially when they're this little, they can get their little heads in there and everything. The water container I use for my chicks is a gallon-sized container, and I fill it with room temperature water and I add 4 tablespoons of organic apple cider vinegar with the mother. It helps with pasty butt and it just helps keep their digestive system moving along like it should. I raise the water up off of the floor of the trough to keep it up out of the pine shavings. When the chicks are scratching around through the pine shavings, they tend to scratch them into the basin of the water and it fills it up. When I first get chicks, first thing is I make sure they're warm, they're under the heat lamp. Number 2, I make sure they know where the water is, and then also the food. And what I'll do with a couple of them is I'll get them and I'll just stick their little heads down in the water just to help them figure out where it is. And then the others kind of follow along. Today I'm going to clean out the pine shavings in the bottom of the chickie trough. They don't like this. What I do is I take out the food and the water, and then I just use a dustpan and I scoop out the old chips from half of it and then put in new chips on that half I just cleaned out, and then get all the chickies over to the cleaned out side, and then I do the same on the dirty side. Scoop out the dirty pine shavings and then add the clean pine shavings. When I'm done with that, then I'll put the food and water back in, and then the chickies are happy. They don't enjoy this. It scares them and they make a lot of noise, but I'll show you how it's done. The pine shavings I clean out from the chickies is usually full of their food that they've scratched out of the container. And so instead of just wasting it, I'll take you outside and show you what I do.
Come on, chickies.
My ladies clean up all of the chick food left over in the pine shavings, and they love the extra treat.